I always thought it would be cool if you could go back and listen to the day-to-day of today's highest achievers as it happened, as opposed to 30 years later after they've made it. I believe there's a giant disconnect between ground zero and the top floor because we only see the top floor and the top floor only talks about the top. How valuable would that be? And so it goes without saying, but I believe I'll make it there. And this is a documented journey through each level. My name is Bryson Sessions, and you are listening to the Bed Podcast.
Okay, so I want to talk about two things today, but I don't think I have the time necessary to talk about both in the depth that I'd like to talk about them in. But we're not organized here, and we don't prioritize time, and we are not trying to be all quality-like, as I say this with my balls now sinking deep into this cold-ass ice bath. So we've got two things that I want to talk about. First one, I think, is actually, I can make this super short, but I want to do these. I've been doing these milestone episodes, and I do them. I've only had the opportunity to do 2 of them, but I'm supposed to do them. My goal is to do them every 91 to 92 days, because there's 4 in a year. 91 times 4 is 364. So pretty much a year right there. So the idea is to just record an episode every 90 days that talks about the accomplishments and the progress made in the last 90 days. And then every 2 months, that would be a half-year recap. And then every year, that would be a year recap. And that's kind of to summarize the show really succinctly. Like if somebody's listening to these and they just want to know what I've done, the steps I've made or whatever, then they can listen to 40 episodes instead of 7,305, and I think I might increase the more I talk about this, the more I think I might actually increase the frequency of me doing those, because 40 episodes to cover 20 years, I think is just so little. I feel like if I did 1 episode every month that recaps the full month, maybe that would be better. So by the time we're done, there would be 240 of those, which is typically how many podcasts other people have forever, right? Did I do that right? So 12 times 10, 240 episodes. So they can make a playlist, episode 30, 60, 90, etc. But the reason, or why I'm talking about this, is because I'm supposed to do one. I was supposed to do one 3 or 4 episodes ago, but I still have not even taken the time to figure out what I have accomplished in the last 90 days. But I was thinking, because this is the timestamps here are for the podcast. So episode 90 or whatever, or episode 180, whatever it was, 183, I believe, was 183 days into the podcast, not 183 days after I started 75 Hard, which really is the starting day of everything for me. So that would be, technically it would be July 24th, because I failed 5 days in. So, but because it was the first successful attempt on July 29th, that would be the year. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to keep every podcast, obviously. I'm not going to delete them, but I'm going to start doing the milestone episodes from that date. So if I do every month, it would be from 365, it would be 5 more episodes from now, it would be 283-ish. So 284-ish, I think. So 284, and then every 30 after that would be every month. And then every 90 after that would be every 3 months, obviously. And I might just keep up the pace for that. The whole reason, the whole thought process, again, is because everything that you're listening to and everything that I'm working on building, it's all as a result from the starting date of July 29th. That's when everything started popping for me, not 277 days ago, which is this podcast anniversary. So that's the idea there. And then the other thing is, I'm actually kind of cruising, so we might be able to touch on this if I just keep going. But the other podcast that's being worked on, so my whole idea with that, the other podcast, is to be able to film that, also put it on YouTube, kind of gain familiarity with YouTube and the platform and uploading and all that stuff, as well as the primary goal here is to clip parts of the videos that I make for the podcast, I should say, and use those for social media. And I've already talked about this 1,000 times, but that's pretty much the goal. And so if my goal is to use that for social media, that content needs to be geared toward people that I'm trying to recruit onto my coaching program, because it kills so many birds with one stone. Because if I can make a podcast, which is what I actually really enjoy doing this, but also put in more effort and focus on organization and quality, I feel like I could make a really good podcast product, whatever you want to call it, and also help some people. And I mean, there's two things right there that I would like to do. And then the third thing is I could again repurpose that content onto social media and then use that as lead magnets or marketing or content creation for getting sales calls booked and selling my program. Because I believe that is going to be time's up, motherfucker. I believe that is what is going to get me to my next level in my life, which is pursuing fitness coaching again online. Not because I absolutely love fitness coaching and not because I absolutely love any of this, but because I have now come to terms with the fact that the level of life that I want to live requires a level of skill sets that I, a year ago, didn't have any glimpse of or have any hope of having. But now I have a lot more discipline, a lot more awareness of myself, a lot more belief in myself, and the things that I look forward to and the goals that I have are much different as opposed to then. You know, I've talked about it. I think it's 237B. Talked about how I made $6,000 doing this, but I wasn't even trying. And the more I say that, the cockier it sounds. But if you listen to yesterday's show, it's just the objective of the objective measuring stick. It is what it is. I mean, I really wasn't trying, made $6,000. So if I do try and I do put in the effort, why can't I be a millionaire, right? And you can only lose if you give up. You can only fail if you give up, if you quit. If you stick with it long enough, you'll eventually succeed. So, also, I'm gonna make a prediction right here. I'm gonna climb up my stairs, go to my bathroom. I'm gonna be out of breath by the time I get up there, promise. So, anyway, that show is, I guess I'm having doubts with it because the type of podcast that it would be, the reason for the podcast would be to make clips for social media, to use that for attracting people to my program, getting them to trust me, getting them familiar with who I am, what I'm about, what I talk about, etc. But it's a weird mix of topics. See what I say? And it would be about fitness, nutrition. So think like workout programs, intensity techniques, how to get high amounts of protein in your diet, what foods to stay away from, etc. And then that mixed with, things like 75 hard, mental toughness, all that stuff. So it's a weird combo, but the goal for that is to, again, get people seeing my stuff and have product and have content that's related to my program. Because if I have a program that, let's just, for example, it's extremes paint really good examples. Let's say I have a cooking program, but my podcast is about desk chairs, and I'm trying to get people in my coaching program talking about desk chairs. Just, I don't need to go any more in depth for you to understand that is stupid. So if I'm trying to get people into my training program, it's just a different type of podcast, like if I'm talking about discipline and mental toughness and challenging yourself and, building resilience and stuff like that outside of training, because you can absolutely do that with being in the gym and stuff. But if I'm talking about it in that context, it just seems so weird. Like, hey, we're going to talk about the best recipe for this. Also, challenge yourself to be better and do, it's just a weird mix, and maybe I'm overthinking it. But again, I share this to showcase the fact that I am having doubts about something, and I haven't even done shit with it yet, but just to document the fact I'm having doubts about an idea I had and how I'm thinking about that.
but I haven't done anything with it yet. I've just been making drafts on episode topics, and right now I've got about 30 or 40, which is kind of cool. I wouldn't say episodes, I would say topics. Maybe there's 2 or 3 topics per show. So I think I could whip out about 15, 20 shows with the material that I have now. But if you think about it, 15 podcasts later, if I do 2 a week, that is 7 weeks from now. So 2 months. That's 2 months worth of podcasting seriously. And by then I would definitely have more ideas and better ways to improve the show, you know? And if I did 1 per week, then, which honestly I'll probably start with that just because I don't want to overwhelm myself and force myself. I don't want to jump into something that I can't handle. Because sometimes doing the show every single day where it's just bare minimum. I have my voice memos app out and I'm just talking. Bare minimum. Sometimes I struggle with that alone, you know? So having to dedicate a full day per week to recording, or I guess to writing, recording, editing, splicing, uploading, whatever, and then repurposing that for social media, changing it up slightly so that it fits the social media environment as opposed to podcast. Because with podcast, I wouldn't have any music playing. But with social media, I might have some clips or some sound effects or some edits, whatever. So that would be a full day per week. And I say full day being the time that I get off work to the time I go to bed, not including the gym. So we're talking like 4 hours. Nice voice crack, dude. Nice. And so yeah, that's that. And I actually crammed that in pretty quick. That's kind of what's going on. So again, I share this to document the fact that I have self-doubts about this whole thing, but the only guaranteed way to fail and not progress in this endeavor of mine is to quit now before I even start, you know, or I just keep going, try to figure out as I go, which is exactly what I'm going to do. And then the other thing we talked about was the Milestone episodes, which I'm going to commit to that right now. So you heard it here first. Starting on, let's do the math right now. So today is the 22nd of July, 2024. So this will be uploaded on the 23rd. So this is 277. This is episode 277. Yeah. 7, 8, 9, 80. 1, 2, 3. 1, 3. 3, 4. So 284. I was right earlier, dude. Episode 284 and on. It's Kobe. 284 20 24 8. GG in there. 2. Nice. Okay. That's going to be this new start date or the milestone where the Milestone episodes begin. So I'm going to do one there because that'll be the 1 year anniversary of me changing my fucking life. So from 284 on, maybe I'll make that. I'll write about it. Don't worry. Also, if you don't already, read all the descriptions. There's a lot more stuff in the descriptions of these shows than what you might think. So anyway, that's it. I'm gonna hop in the shower now. Take a cold shower. I just took a fucking ice bath. And that's what you got to do for phase 3. So phase 3, real quick, since we're talking about it. It's day 24. Pretty easy. It's an easier day today. So I'm going to ride it out. After today, we'll have 6 days left. I'm very excited. And so that's it. That's all I got today. So that's the show. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening, and quick reminder here. So this podcast doesn't prioritize professionalism or quality at all. It's just meant to be a shoot from the hip type podcast with the intent just to get a quick message out. So some episodes might be inaudible in 30 seconds and others might be 45 minutes and super crisp sounding. So all these are being made so that by episode 7,305, which is 20 years, we can come back and see the entire playbook of how I made it to wherever I'm going. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.